We are going to start with JavaScript today, and so I hope I'm able to share my screen. I'll share my screen. I hope you are able to see my screen. Please confirm. Good. So let us start with JavaScript. So first is, as I said, what all we are going to learn in JavaScripting as a scripting language. Variables, arrays. We'll take 2 days for this. It's only a kickstart of what JavaScript is. More about that is syntax, and more about the methods that we use, or the ES6 what do you call um, functions that we use. All that we'll see as we move on, because from today onward JavaScript starts till the end of the session. So JavaScript, in one way or other, we'll be seeing the JavaScript. There we will move, after some time we'll move to so-called TypeScript. So actually the word class, methods, all this comes under TypeScript. So that is where you can set the property, get properties, etc. So that is all comes under the part of TypeScript. So so any application that we develop, uh, that development, one, we call it as technology. Development, when we do, there are three important components that we need to decide on. One, what is the technology that we are going to use? That needs to be decided. The technology that we are going ahead with is basically uh, web. We call it as UI layer. UI layer, we use the Angular material or React. This is what we are covering. There is another called Vue.js. That is another which we are not covering now. Okay, this is if you say complexity wise, this is how the complexity is. The first one is more complex, second one is medium, React is the simple, lowest complex. Second, we have a middle layer, or you call it as a publisher, right? Middle layer, we are using Node. Node act as a publisher as well. When I say publisher, this is what we call it as word server. You might have heard about Tomcat, right? JBoss, all this. These are all servers. Server as such is the one which enable the end user access your site. So this is my publisher. We call this as a publisher. So that is, these are all some of the samples, like Java. Java again has to either sit on Tomcat or sit on JBoss. Java can be a coding language, but it has to sit on either Tomcat or a JBoss or sophisticated. There are a lot of things are there. These are all open source, whatever I am showing. The last one is DB layer. DB layer, it can be anything. So some of the examples of Postgres. Some of these are Postgres, MS SQL, MySQL. All this comes under relational database. Then you have MongoDB, ClickHouse, right? MongoDB, ClickHouse. These are, MongoDB is a NoSQL database. It uses Elasticsearch. That is, the way they store the data is different. ClickHouse is another database which is a columnar database. These are all DB layers. Okay, so these three components are very important from the perspective of one web application is concerned. So for all this, you need to write a code. That code is JavaScript we are using. JavaScript is one of the language You have a Java, you have PHP, you have Python, you have Java Spring. There are a lot of layers. Java Spring and all, it's a framework that we use. There are multiple frameworks inside the Java itself. These are all some of the coding languages. So today, predominantly that is in the market, our market is migrating towards is JavaScript. So this is what we are going to learn. Syntax wise, there may be some changes. Whether one language, if you learn, the other languages are easy and fast. But learning one language is important. Whether C sharp, everything. C sharp is .NET background. So all these are part of this particular languages. So language is different. Web UI layer is different. Middle layer is different. DB layer is different. So don't confuse with language with anything else. Web layer can be Angular material. Middle layer can be Java. Web layer can be React.js. Middle layer can be a JBoss, running in a JBoss. Right? Anything is possible. Okay. With that, we'll just start with console log. To execute a JavaScript, you need a compiler. Right now, any operating system browser executes JavaScript. That is what the script command is all about. We talk about script command as we go inside the web pages. So console, any language for that matter, you need a compiler. JavaScript, we generally call it as it uses the native compiler, because ultimately every operating system or anything is built on like C or C++ or hard coded coding language. So any Windows system, it supports by default JavaScript. Any browser, it supports JavaScript. That is the base language it uses. So compiler is native in these cases. Whereas if you are using any other language, you need to compile it and then pass it to the browser. Otherwise, browser cannot understand the code that you are trying to write. So in that context, if you have any questions, please let me know before I actually start the subject. Any questions, please let me know. Why is that layers? Layers are very important from the perspective of, because UI is independent. It is working on your machine, on your local laptop or whatever. Server is sitting in somewhere like Amazon cloud or somewhere it is sitting. DB can be anywhere else. So in simple words, to make it very clear, middle layer and the end layer will not be visible to the end user. It will not be accessible by the end user. End user access through DB, so-called browser, right? In that way, front end, middle, we call it as back end. You call it as a logic layer, and backend. Backend is basically the endpoint. Endpoint is storage, repository. We use the word repository. Okay, repository means it can be a DB, it can be a physical hardware, anything. It can be anything, right? So front end is always browser. Don't confuse it. Olden days, you have a desktop application. Your games, sometimes you install the games in your laptop, right? That installing of games is nothing but a desktop application. We don't use it as a server configuration. You don't work with browsers on those in that way. What is TypeScript? Under what layer it comes? TypeScript, JavaScript is a very native language, as I said. I'll come to that as we go on, so that it becomes easier for you to understand. Backend is DB so far. Answer is yes. Backend is DB, always yes. DB, ultimately that's a end layer. Backend, we consist of multiple things. Backend, immediately after the front end backend, we use the word backend only. But in backend, we are splitting the two components. One is logic, business logic layer, we used to call it as BLL. Last is repository. So business logic layer is always, we call it as a middle layer, middleware. End part is the database side. So that's how it is. What is Node.js? Node.js is another language written. It is developed in 2009 or around that period. So because of that, at that time Node.js come into picture. Your CPU and everything got matured, whereas Java is 1958 or so. Java at that time, your CPU or the way your system is, it's all different. Microsoft Windows .NET, it came in 1980s and 90s. Again, at that time, the system was different, hardware was different. At that time, your hard disk was floppy disk and all we will be using. So there, the technology, the way they carry forward the technology is from that period. Whereas when it came to Node.js, it developed in 2009. You can see the history from Wikipedia. To Node.js, the concept developed in recent years. That means your hardware, everything stabilized. Your browser concept stabilized. Your www web page, that has got stabilized. Everything got stabilized. The structure is formed. There is an architecture framework developed. Because of that, Node.js is very less load. That means it is not a heavy. It is very light because it has taken the base as 2009 hardware platform or a browser platform or any of the enterprise platform you take. By the time SSD concept came in, memory is huge. You don't have to live with the lowest 1 MB or 2 MB memory. In olden days, we used to live with 512 MB RAM. Nowadays, gigabytes RAM is of no problem at all. And SSD, you have a pen drive. Pen drive, it's a clear 1 terabyte pen drive is also easily available. So that is the reason Node.js is a now the technology is towards Node.js because it is very less in heaviness is not there. Is JavaScript worth for future? That's how the trend shows. The trend is very good. If when I touch upon performance and other area, I will give you a lot of benefits on this so that you will, and easy to learn. JavaScript is easy to learn. It is not having as many overheads as Java has. Okay, but everything is having its own advantages and disadvantages. We'll talk about that as we go. Now, so let me. Is Angular, Vue.js, React.js choice of study or want to learn all of that? Any one you learn, the other one to learn is very, very simple. Very, very simple. That much I can tell you. Okay? Very much simple. Okay then. I'll now start on the simple thing. So I just started with console log. I can multiple ways I can node. You can install node as well. If you have not installed, please install node as well as a service. Node.js, you can install it through this. I don't know whether I have shown it yesterday or not. Node.js download. So from here you can install the Node.js. Node.js is a LTS version. Always go with the LTS version. Windows installer, everything is available. You can 64-bit, you can install it, and then the that keep it installed, keep it ready. Right today, I will not. I'm working with Node indirectly because, as I said, I need a compiler. That compiler I need to bind. I am using the compiler as Node.js and Node.exe. That is the compiler I'm using. And I'm compiling with JavaScript 1.js file. So this is a global installation. It is like a programming language. You can Node.js is a programming language. Editor that we are using is a Java Visual Studio Code editor. Node.js is JavaScript, precisely works with JavaScript. First is console log. Generally, they use the word hello world, right? So, hello world, console log. I want to execute, run. First time when you do, it will ask for a compiler. First time, whenever you run it, it will ask for a compiler. If I just run it, you can see hello world. So it executed this code. Anything that is inside the command, it will not get executed. It will only compile the one that is there as a console log, because console log is an exclusive for JavaScript. In C, you may use print, right? Print bracket, you give a string. So each language, that syntax might vary. Console log is a syntax. Even in browser, you can use browser. If you go here, JavaScript, if you use console log, will come under console. Whatever this console is nothing but your whatever the content you put it as part of console log, it will come here. So that is how the console log works. Okay. And while testing, you can use this is what the responsiveness. You can use this device bar for response. I'll come to that all this as we go inside the class. I'll not spend more time towards initial things. I'll spend more time towards Angular material. Those concepts I'll spend more, because again there will be using JavaScript. Okay. The exercise team, our Abhirami, Priyambika, they will take you through a lot of logic implementation. They'll give a lot of exercises, etc. They are all professionally professors. They are all having a doctorate code behind. So the team that you are seeing here, we are not like freshers or anything. They are all most experienced, and they are having the PhD behind them, right? So the exercise that they will give, it has its own importance. Please make sure, more than my class, please ensure that those classes are attended, because you will learn a lot from them. That is the way they give the exercise, the way they structure that will have its own importance. Please ensure that you don't miss those. That is the one which will give you the strong base. Okay. So we just started with hello world. Variable declaration. There are two ways you can declare a variable: either let, or you can use var, or you can use constant. Either of the way you can use variable declaration. Var is, whenever you declare it with var, it is a global variable. That means the variable should not get duplicated. It will, if it duplicates, it will have a different impact. We prefer not to use var, right? Not to use var. We prefer that. What is global? Everything I'll come under. Once we start learning functions, we will come under, we'll talk about that more. So when I say variable, I'll just put it again as a comment, where a equal to hello, right? Console log a. This is a variable declaration. We concatenated with variable. So console log, I execute now. Control F5. I execute now. You can see now hello world, hello. Whatever I substitute to the variable, it has printed here. I can also use let b equal to hello b, constant c equal to hello c. What is the difference between constant and var? Constant, I cannot now assign c equal to abc. I cannot assign it now. It will give a error. If I try to run it, you can get an error. You will get an error. So you say that assignment of constant variable is not allowed, because c is declared as a constant. Constant means you cannot change it. Now I am trying to change the c. Because of that, it is not allowed. Whereas let, if I put b equal to abc, right, and console b here, console b here, comma separated, console b here and console b here. I just copy pasted console b here, save it, run. You can now see initially it has typed b, after that it has typed c, because it is a let. Let and var allow you to change the variable content. So variable is a, b, c. These are all variables. You are allowed to change the content of the variable, because if it is let or var. Constant, you are not supposed to change it. Wherever you don't want to change the content, where use constant. Wherever you feel that it is static, I don't want accidentally also to change that variable, use constant, so that it is user cannot change that variable. Okay, anywhere it is variable changed variables, you can use let or where. So that is the basic thing. The next one that we generally try to do in our programming is string concatenation, string manipulation. More major place, right? We use this string manipulation. What is string manipulation? Double slash is a comment, or slash star, star slash. That is also a comment. So double slash is always a single line comment. So string manipulation is what all comes under string manipulation. You can assign, modify, concatenate, 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 concatenate. I'll just again push it under single quotes. Concatenate, then assign, modify, concatenate, split. Concatenate, you are joining. Split, you are splitting the variable, right? So these are all comes under string manipulation. Then substring, where you want to part of the variable, find index, right? Finding the content inside the variable. So whether it is there or not there, or where it is, etc., etc. All these are commonly used functions. All this comes under string object. A is a string object. So declaration is another important activity. In TypeScript, declaration is important. JavaScript is declaration is not important. So it will automatically infer according to the what you assign. So in that way, for beginners, it looks simple, easy, but when you come to the complex program, it is dangerous, right? So JavaScript in that way, that is why the TypeScript comes into picture, where declaration plays an important role. You can simplify your programming language. Okay, so assign, modify, concatenate. Assign, that is what where let is all about assigning. Modification, the b equal to abc is nothing but a modification. What is concatenation? So this is common in many places. I want to add data. For example, a equal to, sorry, I'll just say n equal to 0. I want to add n equal to n plus equal to 100. What is mean is 0 plus 100 I am adding. N plus equal to 100 again. Okay, everywhere I put the console log. Then n plus plus. These are all some of the operations. These are all operators. So what operator now I am doing? First is n is assigned 0. I am adding 0 plus 100. That is what n plus equal to means 0 plus 100. N plus equal to means n now 100 is already 100. 100 plus 100, 200. Last one is 201. So console log n is nothing but, I'll just put the copy paste in each and every stage. Copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. Right? So n. So you'll have 4. I just save it. This is operators. This is now operators. Without knowing operators, you cannot do the split command or a concatenate command or anything. So first let us understand the operators as well. So I execute now. Simple thing. You can now see n equal to 0, n equal to 100, n equal to 200, because it is plus equal to n plus plus, n plus plus means 1. It will add 1. add 1. So that is how numerical operators. These are all numerical operators. So this is another syntax we generally use everywhere. Okay. So next I'll do the concatenation, string manipulation. So we'll continue with the string. So let I have a equal to hello. We have a equal to hello, b equal to abc. Right. I want to concatenate now these two. So I'll put a variable called let b equal to a dot concat b. I can use this. I can concat a dot concat dot b, concat dot c. I can do it in this way. Console log d. Please note we have a different variable var and let and constant. We have three different types of variables. All are same. Right? I just run it. Console log I put d. Yeah. Go run debugging. You can now see hello ABC, hello C. Right? It has concatenated. It has concatenated A, B, C into a single string called D. So this is concat. This is a normal string operator. String dot concat. You can see on the method. String is an object. We use the word object here. String is an object. Object follows with many methods, class, etc. So string is an object here. So that object I concatenated with B, concatenated with C. I want to concatenate with N. N is a number. Please note, remember all this. Now I concatenated with N as well. Save it, run it. Right? You can see now 201. Right? The 201 also can. I don't bother now type of variable. Type of variable, N is a number, D is a string, A is a string, B is string, C is string. Concatenated with number, still it is working. Right? So in pure languages, it may not work. You cannot concatenate string with the number or something, they may give a message. These are all very simple one that we are talking about. So right now what we have seen is how to concatenate. I want to split it now. How do I split? Okay, how do you want to first, we need to understand how do you want to split now. The split means I need to understand, for example, I'll put it in this way. Let a equal to hello, how are you? Okay. So let a equal to how are you is my data. I want to split this. How do I want to split? Hello separate, how separate, or separate, you separate. I want to split you with question mark. Right? I want to split this word. Now how do I split? What is the common factor to split? Space. Hello space how space or space you. So the space, if I am able to split it with the space, then hello can be done separately, how can be made separately, or is separate, you can be separate. That is what let split a equals a dot split object dot method, right, with space you split a. Now console log a, split a. It is called array. Now this split a is nothing but an array. Array of what? Array of string. What does it mean? Array of string is nothing but hello, how are you with question mark. This is array of string. Execute. can see already declared. A is already declared here. I can reassign. I don't have to declare it again. That is the mistake. Right? I save it. Make mistakes. Make mistakes. You will easy for you to remember. You can see here. Hello, how are you? This is nothing but array of 4. Right? So I want to now this array. I want to now loop it. Looping. I want to now loop each candidate. I want to print it separately. So in our normal terms, for loop, for let I equal to 0, I is less than, this is a for loop, less than, what is that, how many I want to run? 4, in this case 4, tomorrow it can be more. So that split A, I don't know the word A, the number of spaces I don't know. If spaces are more, it may be more than 4. If spaces are less, it may be less than 4. So either I can use directly 4 or I can use split A dot length. Length is an property of an array. Array split A is an array. What is the length of the array? The property is length. Usually anywhere the array always have a property of length. Semicolon I less than, sorry, plus plus. For loop. Okay. I equal to 0, starting with 0, loop it through length of the split A. That is what it means. Always you see that curly braces to start and end of the for loop starts with for condition, curly braces, end, expression. I equal to 0, I is less than split A dot length, I plus plus, plus plus means increment by 1. That is what we have seen here, n plus plus, increment by 1, and then you are inside the loop. Okay, so console now, console log split A of I. Of means square braces. Please remember the square braces. This is array. I said array. Index. I is nothing but index. 0 index. 0 index means the first hello. How means second index. That is the index 1. Index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3. So I equal to 0, less than, not I am not used less than equal to. I have used less than. Split A dot length. Then I plus plus. You might have, whether it is Java, whatever language you know, all this is all common. If you know language. If you don't know the language, you can, then it is easy for you to remember because it's the first time you are learning. So run without. Now you can see hello, how are you is split into hello separate, how separate, or separate, you separate. That is what the for loop does. So for loop, it is there. While loop is there. There is another called while loop. While, right? I want what I'll do is I'll say I equal to 0. I'll assign that I equal to 0 as a let. Then I'll say I less than split A dot length. While loop. This while loop. So I have, please note here, for loop I have not incremented I. It automatically done through this command. It is in the same syntax. Whereas in while loop, I am putting the condition as I less than split A dot length. Console log split A of I. Now I need to increment I plus plus as a separate line item. If I don't do this, it will become infinite loop. Infinite loop is very dangerous in program coding. So these are all some of the common mistakes we do. because this condition I need to fail if to come out of this loop. If this condition never fails, it will be inside the loop. That means it will take high CPU, right? So in that case, if I run again, run without debugging, you can now see hello, etc. I'll just print here I as well. I just print that I as well, comma I. So I just print that I itself there. If you go here, how hello 0, how 1, R2, U3. So it has done for while. So these are all comes under conditional loops, for loop, while loop, right? So next is condition. Are you comfortable up to this before I move on to the next layer? If you have any questions, please let me know. I am seeing that questions are answered then and there by the team. Angular view, React, choice of study, all are answered. Answered or not? I'm not giving okay. Necessary to install the Visual Studio Editor. Visual Studio Editor is important because it has a lot of facilities. For our higher languages, it is having its own facilities. If not, you can use Notepad as the answer is given already, but you need to compile that. Okay. Okay, most of the questions are answered. If anything not answered, I'll just go back. Okay, what does it when W use just a split, A dot split without putting? Try and see. That is what I want you to try. It is nothing but each word it will split. If you but default is default is comma, in split default is comma. That is what the default means. Otherwise, it will split word by. If you don't use any space, it will put word by like character by character. It will split. Okay, so I'll move on. I'll take one more topic and then before today topic I'll close. Conditional statements. Conditional statements. One is switch, if then else. Right? There is no end if here. It is only if then else. There is no then also. It is if else. Else if else if or else. Then you have a switch. Switch statement. It's also a conditional statement. This is the major one we use in our day-to-day thing. So we'll first is if then else. I'll put inside the loop if then else. If, right, if I equal to 1, you do console log, right, I is 1. Else if means again a condition. I equal to double equals, please remember double equals, right, console log I is 3. So please remember your else if last else console log I is. There are multiple ways you can do this concatenation. I'll just give you that as well. I can use $I. This is also possible. Putting it variable together. right? Dildo operator. So save it. So I've used conditional statement within the while statement. If I is 1, you print I is 1, right? I is 3, hard coded. Else console log I is dollar curly braces I. I is treated as a variable now. Within the quotes, I am doing this, right? Usually I do with comma. We can do it in this way as well, right? I in else statement. I'll just put here I in else, I in else if, I in if, so that you can differentiate this. Save it, run, run. So I in if is 1, I in else is 2, I in else if is 3, right? So if I put more here, more variables here, how are you? I am fine. Now I know where I have hard coded that 4. Because I have not hard coded the 4, you can see how it works. I is 1 is fine, 2 is fine. Else, you can see that I has gone to else. Else is 0, right? If is 1, else is 2, else if it is 3, in that way, right? I don't know, I am fine somewhere. Oh, sorry, I put it in the commented line. Save it, run it. So now you can see else, right? Else if wherever it matches. Otherwise, it is a else statement always gets executed if the condition fails. If this condition fails, if this condition fails, it will come to else. If any one matches, he will execute only that line. He will skip these 2 lines. Right? Matching condition only executes that line. Otherwise, it will go to that. But he will check, he will execute this line. He will see whether it is matching or not. Then comes here, then comes here. That is how it works. Okay. This is if condition. The switch case is similar. We'll touch upon that tomorrow. So I'll end today's session with this. Any questions, let me know. Our team will support you for your practice session. Okay, I just save all this. Rajesh, you can switch off recording.